Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today's gonna be a bit different, as you could already tell from the fact that I'm covering an entirely different game than my usual Genshin, HSR, and Wool stuff. Roughly a week ago, Atlus and Sega collaborated to release Persona 5 The Phantom X to the global market, a spin-off of Persona 5 set forth in the same universe. Technically speaking, Phantom X has been around for upwards of a year now, as it came out as an open beta in Asia back in April of 2024. But it wasn't until June of this year that it would be released in full worldwide. Funnily enough, Persona fans who may crucify me for this, but I haven't played Persona 5 Royal or Strikers that much, despite knowing a decent amount of the universe and being familiar with the characters. In my defense, it's only because I have a humongous backlog, but that's besides the point. Full disclosure, this is a sponsored video, but for what it's worth, I did have my eye on this game for some time in light of how popular Persona, and by extension the SMT franchise is, along with the fact that Persona 3 Reload was all the rage back in early 2024. Now that Phantom X is out though, I wanted to give my first impressions of the game, offering my preliminary thoughts on how the game feels to play, and my general sentiments towards it. Do keep in mind though, this won't be a beginner's guide or a comprehensive review of the game. I literally just started playing and didn't participate in the beta whatsoever. That being said, I played many a gacha game in my time, even before Genshin Starl and Wua, so I like to believe I have a good fundamental understanding of how gachas work. Actually, before we start, I just wanted to say thank you to Sega for sponsoring the video. You can check out Persona 5 Phantom X either on PC, you can get it from Steam, or you can download it through iOS and Android. You can find links in the description below or in my pinned comment. As the preface, Persona 5 was overwhelmingly regarded as one of the best turn-based RPGs to come out in the 2010s, owing to its easy-to-understand yet stimulating gameplay, engaging story and premise, great characters, phenomenal soundtrack, and of course their iconic art style and cinematography. The Persona series as a whole carries a sort of reputation for employing many traditional RPG and JRPG things while still having a distinct feel and experience that separates them from your other familiar titles. It's also one of those games that wears a lot of different hats. For one, a big reason why people are a fan of Persona is by virtue of it being set in the real world and having a lot of lifestyle simulation aspects that can serve as a mirror to your current life, encouraging you to play at a consistent pace, almost like an extension to your daily life. And considering gacha games are in the same vein of being something you play continuously as you go on about day to day, combining the aspects together felt almost intuitive, and I think the developers were trying to go into Phantom X with that in mind. If you can cast away all the window dressing and obvious signs of it being a gacha game, it would be quite a challenge to differentiate this game with the actual main series Persona 5. I get that it's a spin-off set forth in the same universe, but normally gacha versions of big budget franchise games have vastly different or watered down iterations of gameplay than what normally is expected by their official counterparts. By and large though, it feels almost identical to the actual Persona 5 game, especially if you choose to play with a controller. Visually and even experientially, as far as overworld and combat are concerned, even the visual style and how they intersplice in-game cutscenes with in-game cinematics and even animated scenes, Phantom X is a Persona 5 experience through and through, which is why so many people were excited for this game to come out. You could even call it a DLC expansion of Persona 5. Let's start with a brief overview of the premise of the game's narrative. Unlike in Persona 5, where the protagonists go about trying to take away and/or change people's desires and motivations, mostly evil ones, Phantom X essentially tries to do the opposite, restore people's desires and motivations. You're still trying to change the hearts of bad actors by going into their palaces and whatnot, but the main priority of you the player is to essentially restore people's faith in humanity and their will to live. The story opens up with you, the MC self-insert, in a world where everyone's a combination of depressed, lazy, apathetic, unambitious, and mentally checked out of reality. So literally the real world. Got it. In all seriousness, everyone's basically depressed, unmotivated, and mentally autopiloting through life. Your objective is to pretty much make people want to do stuff again. The game features an original spin-off cast with you, canonically named Nagisa Kamishiro, a fairly androgynous-looking guy standing in place of Ren Amamiya. Although no offense to Nagisa, even though he's a pretty good-looking dude, no one in Persona 5 can hold a candle to Ren, I'm sorry. Accordingly, your friend group of Van, Ryuji, Morgana, Yusuke, Makoto, and so on have been swapped out with Lufel, Motoha, Shun, Riko, Shoki, etc. Seeing as this is a gacha game, the cast unsurprisingly expands a lot further than that with a bunch of new original characters. But with Phantom X being set in the same universe and timeline as Persona 5 itself, you'll also of course find yourself being able to play the OG Phantom Thieves, though I haven't played through the story enough to find out whether Ren and his cadre actually appear in the story's physical characters, or they purely serve as gameplay units and have no presence in the narrative. Again, first impressions. As someone who very much enjoys anime and visual novels, I appreciate that despite being a gacha title, they went out of their way to emulate the same gameplay experience as Persona 5. I know I said I haven't played the original game fully, but as stated earlier, Phantom X plays almost exactly like Royal, which has me more invested in the characters and story, especially due to it being so different. Many mainstream gacha games take place in wildly fantastical settings, but at least in the overworld, you're set in real Japan, going to places like Shibuya, Shinjuku, Ikebukuro, and so on. It's just straight up Japan. With the gameplay also resembling the main series title, gacha aspects aside, if you're a fan of Persona 5, you'll naturally enjoy Phantom X. The game is a faithful rendition to the mainline, from visuals to graphics to soundtracks to user interface to personas to relationship building to the day-to-day minutiae of things, what have you. And though there are differences in how you go about them, most of them have essentially been retrofitted to work in a gacha-style format. For example, Royal works on a calendar progression system. While Phantom X doesn't do that, the nature of login bonuses, time-gated content and whatnot can almost be interpreted as calendar progression, just in a different way. Combat is more or less the same as well. You work towards building your party in a way that best handles enemy weaknesses in order to achieve all-out attacks. Personas can develop their own unique abilities to give you the edge in fights, and said battles progressively get more challenging and sophisticated. I'm not sure if it goes to the same extent as Persona 5 Royal in terms of gameplay depth, but on the surface, the two titles are extremely similar, so you can expect a baseline level of quality and gameplay from Phantom X on account of how closely it resembles the main game. That being said, it is a gacha game through and through, and those gacha mechanics can easily sour Phantom X if done so in predatory or unproductive ways. So for the rest of the video, I'll go through my initial thoughts on how safely they implemented that. Conveniently, it's easy to turn Persona 5's gameplay model into a gacha game since it already is a JRPG with categorization elements to it. In the case of Phantom X, you have your different classes and attack types, assassin, sweeper, medic, navigator to name a few. Then you have stuff like physical, fire, ice, wind, nuclear, blessed, curse, etc. Characters are then divided into separate rarities, 4 and 5 star, with iconic units like the Phantom Thieves or prominent characters in the story being 5 stars. Each unit comes with their own personas, nothing surprising there, and in typical gacha fashion you have to level them up with XP materials and so on while collecting other materials used to unlock higher level thresholds. In addition to their personas, you have access to Arcana cards, Phantom X's equipment system resembling artifacts, relics, and echoes. By and large, it's a carbon copy of equipment systems and other gacha games. You got main stats and the substats, and then as you level up the Arcana cards, you can unlock more substats and increase the substat bonuses. Obviously, the equipment grinding experience in many gacha games has been known to draw the frustration of players, and frequently becomes a source of criticism. But I feel like at this point, some semblance of a system like this will be present in any mainstream gacha game we find, so we'll just have to deal with it. Another gacha feature you're probably expecting is the existence of a limit break system. It's called awareness in this game, unlocking additional attributes and properties to your persona for every duplicate copy of the character you obtain. Whether this proves to be negative or innocuous to the game comes entirely down to how difficult the game becomes and how generous the gacha pull system is. If the game is super free-to-play friendly and can be cleared through obtaining whatever in-game resources are available, then personally I don't see an issue with letting whales burn their life savings on the game. Moreover, Phantom X doesn't have a PvP mode, automatically making the game way less pay to win than a game that does have some sort of player versus player or leaderboard ranking based reward system for events. Technically, there is a leaderboard ranking thing, but everyone gets the same rewards no matter what. So realistically, all additional spending does in this game is demonstrate how much of a sweat you are. Overall, when looking at the character progression aspect of Phantom X, it's pretty standard fare. Level up units, ascend them, level up their skills, then work on getting the best equips you can get on them. If you played any other mainstream gacha game, all of these systems should be familiar to you and need no further explanation. For Persona fans who are playing a gacha for the first time, once more, this is a first impressions video, not a proper guide, so I apologize for not going in detail on this. But given Vars 2 is a gacha channel, I'm sure all of you recognize the systems anyway. While there isn't a PvP system, there is a multiplayer incentive. I haven't unlocked it myself yet, but you are allowed to make a guild in this game, and your guild can take on bosses, or so I've heard. This means you do have an incentive to collaborate with other players in the sense that there's actual in-game significance to it, which is cool. Phantom X has a variety of different game modes that you can play through for different things, ranging from collecting materials to boss battles or roguelike challenges. The Chinese server is about a year's worth of content ahead of us, so you can keep a close eye on what to expect in the near future. But in essence, you'll be taking the combat engine of Persona 5 into gacha formatted challenges, giving you opportunities to arrange and organize your teams to best suit whatever you're up against. Speaking of which, one benefit of Phantom X having been released a year prior in China is that we practically have an official leak source for this game in the sense that you can keep track of what units and stuff are coming in the near future, while also figuring out how well a character holds up in the metagame so you can plan and budget your stuff accordingly. A lot of people get roped into whaling or pulling for units that may be tier 0 right now, but within a few months they get rendered obsolete due to power creep or something. In fact, Prime 1 lets you see how good the units are in global servers, but you can also check to see their performance in China, where they have more units and a wider roster. Technically, this isn't a feature of the game, just the dynamic of having one server being further along an update cycle than another. All the same, it's a handy resource for free-to-plays who want to spend their gems wisely. Having mentioned gems, let's finally talk about the gacha system. The real distinction between Phantom X and Royal is of course how you get more party members. The gacha rates appear to be more or less adherent to conventional rates. They have a hard pity of 80 and pulse costs 150 gems. The 5-star base rate is 0.8%, so it's marginally better than what we're used to, but not by much. Also, there is a 50-50 with the next time you get the on-banner unit guaranteed if you failed it. From what I've read up on, this game's a lot more generous when it comes to free-to-play friendliness, both in terms of getting access to quite a good amount of free gems by simply playing the game, and presumably you can complete 100% of the game's available content without dropping a single dime on it, which is a lot better than I can say for other titles. Granted, the game just came out, so naturally they'll be very generous at the start, like how they're giving us a free Anne, Ryuji, or Morgana by pulling 50 on the beginner banner, as well as a second copy of any of them by completing missions, so they're at least making it clear they're not averse to giving us a free 5-star or 2. Now, we don't know for sure if they will stay generous or free-to-play friendly beyond the initial launch period, but that can be alleviated by planning ahead using the China version's content list. I can say tentatively at the moment, Phantom X's gacha mechanics don't get in the way of one's enjoyment of the game's story and what it has to offer. Because Persona is very story-driven with gameplay being aside, as opposed to the vast majority of gachas where it's gameplay first and story second, I don't think you'll feel pressured to spend money on the game. Actually, having mentioned that, social linking can be done with every single character in the game whether you do or don't have them, so for people focusing on that side of Phantom X, I'm happy to report you don't actually have to summon the unit to interact and hang out with them, which is very nice. Altogether, the gacha mechanics don't appear to get in the way of one's ability to play through the game proper, so people who aren't concerned about tryharding on the leaderboards can enjoy a perfectly free-to-play friendly game. Maybe the most you'll be expected to spend on is like the monthly $5 daily gems thing if they have one. Anyway, that wraps up my initial thoughts on Phantom X. I find the game to be a nice diversion from the gacha experience I've been used to for years because for the first time in a long time, it's a game that's more about the story, character interaction, and continuity than actual gameplay. That's not to imply gameplay doesn't matter, nor to say other games don't have a story, but given the original Persona 5 incorporates many visual novel elements, and given Phantom X is a faithful spin-off to the original Persona 5 universe and gameplay, Phantom X contains many of the same things that made Persona 5 so successful, meaning all it needs to do is continue doing what it does well and make sure the gacha side of things does not work against that. So far, I don't think it does. Persona fans can basically treat this game as tangential DLC spin-off content for Persona 5 Royal, while gacha games can safely pick this up without tearing a deeper hole in their wallet than they already have. Do I recommend playing this game? Sure, why not? I don't see any major red flags with it at the moment, but again I just started playing, so for all I know the endgame could be a complete miserable mess. Doesn't seem to be the case based on what I've heard from people who play the Chinese version. Having 1 year's worth of foresight's definitely helpful for both gameplay and meta planning, so even if the game escalates in difficulty, global players can prepare for it long in advance. This may have been a sponsored video, but I plan to keep going with this game since I'm a silent appreciator of the Persona franchise. That said, I should probably finish playing Royal though. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed my first impressions, and be sure to let me know what your thoughts are on this game in the comments down below. For now though, if you enjoyed the video, a like and subscribe would be much appreciated. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Varsfarum, join my Discord server, and I guess if I make another Persona video in the future, I'm not sure, we'll find out, you can stay tuned for that as well. Till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.